This is Travis Wingoodsell. The postman finally arrived. Apparently we've got a new guy now, so he's learning the route, and it takes him longer to get here. So my morning's now shot as I waited for him to give him my package. But, of course, as one who constantly gets inspired for new videos, blogs, books, I of course had more, and I don't know if YouTube would be the place for it, other than maybe DM Murdock's theory versus my theory. There is a difference, even though it's similar. We both believe and theorize that the Bible, both the New and the Old, derived from Egyptian source documentation. And the only difference is that DM Murdock believes that the Bible was manufactured and is not an actual history of the Jewish people. And the New Testament Gospel also being a fraudulent source. Whereas I differ on that the author is referring to actual historical people, not just going off of whatever the documents are interpreted by this author to mean. Sort of like replacing Osiris with Abraham. And, you know, like Joseph Smith did, and all Egyptologists say Joseph Smith is wrong because he did that. You know, that's DM Murdock and Egyptology's theory that it was all a manufactured story. I differ from that they are referring to historical characters that have origin for who they are, but they're mixing it up. So like the Abraham or Moses, the story goes that he, as a baby, his life was threatened, and so his mother placed him in a reed basket, set him afloat, and according to the incorrect translation, the daughter of Pharaoh finds him and takes him in as her own child. No, that didn't happen. But all scholars immediately recognize a baby in a reed basket as coming from King Sargon I of Old Assyria. That's his story, and he was before Moses's time, assuming Moses's time is at a certain point in history. DM Murdock says Moses is just a fictional character, is not a real person, even though she'll recognize, oh yeah, the Sargon story, but she won't identify the Moses character as King Sargon. Nobody does, and I don't either. Instead, I see an influence of the Sargon story with actual Egyptian stories. As you know, the Egyptians portray the gods sailing on boats in the heavens represented as water. And so, yeah, Moses in a boat as a baby traveling on the Nile. Pure Egyptian documents, even though there's a match to the Sargon story as well. And so that's where I differ, is that the original intention was from the Egyptian documents, not the Babylonian Assyrian ones. It's his influence in captivity in Babylon that produced that merging of stories, and that Moses was an actual character, even though he may be a composite of different characters. King David, for example, is a composite of multiple kings multiple King Davids. As you've seen on my other videos or blogs or books, King David is the Pharaoh of Egypt of the David-Moses dynasty, the 18th dynasty. And so Joseph is a composite of different people as well. The Tale of Two Brothers, he's in that story. He's also in the story about David Moses IV, and Tutmosis, as it's improperly called, or Tautmose, as it's more properly called, but David Moses, to illustrate who he is. He had dreams, and so Joseph and his dreams and interpreting the dream of Pharaoh, that ties him with that period as well. So Joseph is a mixture of different stories from Egypt and people of Egypt. He's a composite character. So he was real, but he wasn't just one person. And that's the theory that I go by. D.M. Murdock says, no, they just made it all up, and any association is pure fictional based. But that's where we differ. And so my theory is distinctive from the rising generation of Egyptology, even though D.M. Murdock has now passed on. So it's sad that she passed on. It would have been nice to have learned more from her as she continued to publish more books. Yeah, and she never did do a direct Egyptian source document with the gospel stories. She never did that. She said it, and she refers to some comparisons. For example, the Jesus and the swine, as the evil spirits get cast out of the body, and they say, "Oh, please put us in the swine." And so he puts them in the swine, and then the swine runs amok into the river and die. Well, that's from an Egyptian tomb carving of the 19th dynasty of the Ra-Moses dynasty, Ramose, which had Set in there, Seth, depending on your phonetics. That was their main god, not Ra, although Ra was a part of it, because Ra and Set joined forces under their dynasty. So, yeah, that's the difference between our theories. And most people think that Joseph Smith, therefore, was just creating a scenario. But if he actually had Egyptian papyri, you can see that he was going off of the facsimiles. He wasn't translating the text. So he was looking at the facsimiles, the pictures, and saying, oh, okay, I can use the biblical character Abraham to tell a story about Abraham. And he intended to do that with what he called the papyrus of Joseph, but never finished the book of Abraham. What we have is incomplete, and there are a couple of errors, but it's unfinished. And so, like facsimile number 3, for example, where is that in the text of the book of Abraham? He doesn't talk anything about it. He gives an explanation of the facsimile, but he doesn't include it in the text like he did facsimile number 1 and 2. Did you know that those are in the text? Facsimile number 1 is an obvious one. In chapter 1, he says, refer to the facsimile number 1. But when you get to chapter 3, you don't get that. You don't see that he's referring to facsimile number 2, which is the hypocephalus. Got to get my numbers correct. Suffix numbers. And so, yeah, and Joseph Smith's translation, perfectly acceptable. He's not complete, like I said, and it's not finished. As long as you understand that. That's why, you know, he doesn't have the story of Osiris and Anubis and Set and all the other character men. You know, people freak out over that. Oh, they have a god with a penis sticking out. Oh, that's horrifying. And then they completely miss that there's other penis characters in the text. And it's like, yeah, here's another penis. Oh, look, here's another penis. Here a penis, there a penis, everywhere a penis. Like I said in the other video, the Egyptians communicated. They did not ban and call it taboo so that the porn industry could take advantage of it financially and make hundreds of billions of dollars of the fear of Christians who wanted to know, what is this Victoria's Secret? And so yeah, the Egyptians showed body parts, they showed people naked, and that's why the Bible has Adam and Eve, created by God, naked. They're roaming around naked. God sees them and talks with them, and then they talk with the snake, and then all of a sudden, ah, we're naked! Ah, God, don't look! So yeah, everybody's messed up the stories to interpolate them in a manner which controls the populace into the way they want to control the populace from whoever the author is. That's why they do it. They alter the text to control their followers. And so yes, Christians, are you for Jesus or are you for Paul? Choose. Because if you choose Paul, then you need to get rid of the Gospels. Sorry. If you're Paul's church, you need to use only Paul's scripture. And even that is altered. Because you don't really think that women were not allowed to speak in churches. Especially in Romans 16, where he says that Jania is a prominent apostle like himself, and Phoebe is a deacon, and others are of prominent position because they're spoken of before their husbands. You don't do that. If the husband is married to a woman, you name the husband first. So for these women to be named first over their husband means they have authoritative position over their husband. So it's like Madam President. You know, the first Mr. If Hillary would have won, Bill Clinton would have been known as the first Mr., I guess. Is it the first Mr.? No. Because it's the first lady. I don't know, the first guy. I don't know, what's the term for the man if it's not lady? Tramp? The first tramp. So, but, yeah, okay, so now it's noon. I need to get ready for the day. I need to shower. Woke up late because I stayed up late, and so I needed to make sure that I was out there for the mailman whenever he arrived, and he took all morning. So, yeah, I need to get to the polygamy part 2, talk about David Whitmer and the Book of Mormon, and then get to the breastplates translation. And already I'm tired and I'm ready for my afternoon nap. As an old man, there's no way I'm doing the geriatric drinks. Ensure. No, I'm not sure that I want Ensure. I tried it once. Somebody let me taste it. It is gross. Ugh. You know, pour in the sugar. That's what I say. Alright, so, yeah. Alright, well, I guess we got one of my ideas done and over with now. So that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But yeah, people don't understand what a theory is anymore. We have the religious right and the alt-right, the political alt-right, just dismissing science altogether, and science is being infiltrated by the Christian movement, and so it's getting all messed up. People are purposely destroying scientific theory process. So when you watch the news, local news typically, they'll say, oh, studies show, it's clinically tested. No, it was not done properly. You can't trust them. They were specifically paid people to rig the results. That's not how science is done. You can't just rig things to whatever you want. You can't, pay a chocolate company to do research on their own chocolate. They're obviously going to get people to give a report that says, our chocolate's the best. Don't buy those other chocolates. It's clinically proven to taste better. So yeah, the church even pulled that stunt with the medical marijuana. They paid through their donations to the organization that paid specific scientists to produce a result that would show that medical marijuana is bad. And so the church came out and promoted the results of the rigged test and said, see, marijuana is medically bad for you. And so then they came out and said, vote no on Prop 2 because of our study that we indirectly paid through this organization that paid for it. And so now the church came out and had to alter the will of the people who voted yes, we want medical marijuana. We have sick and afflicted that need it. And the church doesn't care about the sick and afflicted. And so they forced the legislature, who are Mormon, and thus Mormons were forced to do the bidding of the church. Thus the church controls the government. And the government altered the law. And people are suing, but I don't know what's happened with the lawsuits. It takes years to go through the courts, and that ain't right. When you're violating people's rights, it needs a speedy trial. It shall not be abridged. And yet we've abridged it. Nobody cares about the Constitution anymore. Everybody wants to protect those who make the money, those who are in power and authority. And so that's why when a bishop and cop gets caught for sex trafficking, that's a big deal, because that takes a lot to take down a big guy. And then the church, of course, as I mentioned, they came out with a statement. It's horrible when Mormons and local leaders do this. And they don't mention anything about prophets. and 70. It was a no-brainer situation, and the PR guy totally messed it up. So, alrighty. I gotta have lunch. If anything is good about today, I get to watch SNL. So, until the church finds out that I no longer have DirecTV, and then we'll go after Xfinity. Oh, Travis is at an Xfinity? Okay, well, we'll change the contract with them now. Force them to pay more money. That would be, I don't know if I should be terrified or if I should just laugh, if that ends up being the real reason why the church is doing this. Is that because it's me. So, because they're not doing it with local channels, and so, yeah, if I need to, I can, I don't know how to do that now, I guess, because when they switched over the cable for that, my dish was not picking up anything anymore. So, you know, I'm not sure what to do if the cable doesn't offer SNL Channel 5 local. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not tech smart, but I am aware of what's going on. So, alrighty. That would just be hilarious. And all of this, know, Mormons, that the church is the cause for all of this. Not me, not critics, not apostates, not antichrists. The church is responsible. They are the cause of their own problems. Curses, as the Book of Mormon calls it. And, you know, if they would just be honest and say, you know, John Taylor couldn't do it because he was in on the murder of Joseph Smith, murdering Hiram, and then Joseph Smith shot him 3 times, and so he cowered under the bed. But you know, John Taylor couldn't come out and be honest because of what he had done. Wilford Woodruff could have. He was just an 8-year-old boy at the time, I guess. And so he wouldn't have known anything. So he could have come out and been honest. But he chose not to. And now he's famous for a couple of atrocities that Mormons cherish as, oh, great revelation from on high. No. And that's another video, so I won't get into it here. Kimball, no, he couldn't, because he's a direct descendant of Heber C. Kimball, who was in on all of it. So, yeah, it's understandable why Kimball is the one who covered up the evidence of Carthage jail. Benson is curious, because he is a Taft. His mother is the Taft. That's why his middle name is Taft, is because of his mother. And they are Illuminati, you've come to take. Yeah, the Rothschild Illuminati Union. That's where the Tafts come from. So it's interesting to listen to Benson's talks now after knowing all this. It's like, okay, so when I was 16 years old, newly a teacher, you get up in April conference and say that I'm now the Royal Army of God, I'm the chosen from before the foundations of the earth to come to earth, that when I turn 50, I'll be going up against those who are trying to put a king on the throne of the United States? Yeah, he never says that, does he? But that's what he was intending if he were to be honest with everybody. Because what does the Book of Mormon tell you Mormons? Don't put a king on the throne. Don't let the government destroy the Constitution so that one day a king would be placed on the throne. That's why Joseph Smith said, the Constitution will hang by a thread. He knew. He was told by William Morgan, who knew. And what do Mormons do? Oh, I'm voting for Trump. I'd rather be Russian than vote Democrat. I'd rather belong to the great and abominable church. Mormons. Dum 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 dum. So that's the only conclusion I can come up with, is that Mormons are in on it. The 3 million remaining are in on it. They all know. Or they don't have a clue because they're too poor to know better. Like my second ex-wife. So, yeah. So it's unclear as to how many Mormons are actually innocent and just are sticking with the church, not knowing that they're violating the law of God, that they're going contrary to what Jesus taught, preached, and gave as an example in the Gospels or the Egyptian documents. So, yeah. So maybe I've tapped out the Mormons. Maybe I've gotten all that can be saved from the Mormon Church. Maybe those of you who are remaining are past feeling, that are the hardest of hard, just like Pharaoh of Egypt, that you are all in on it, and that you are all fighting for position in the church, to rise up in command. You know, didn't Paul H. Dunn, the former liar of the 70, who lied about his baseball career, who lied about this, that, and the other, his war career. And the stories that he told didn't actually happen. He was making up stories to tell a gospel principle. Oh, wow, Paul Dunn, famous baseball player and veteran. He actually did those things. No, he didn't. And they just retired him when he turned 70. So, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or be shocked in horror with what I know now. So, yeah, it's sad to be treated by bishops, by stake presidents, by secretaries to President Hinckley, by apologetics at BYU, by regular members who don't know any better and are not smart enough to put 2 and 2 together. I don't know how I'm supposed to be feeling. I'm too much of a Vulcan. Typical man. You're fighting against psychiatry. Psychiatry wants you to cry so that they can put drugs in you and control your behavior. Oh, you cry, therefore you're bipolar. I'm not bipolar, by the way. I'm the created diagnosis by the Russians. That's internationally banned. Yeah, Utah did that to me. So yeah, that's another thing that I want to talk about, is how mentally ill are treated here in Utah. I don't know how that will go over as a video. My psychiatry videos have not done that well, even though I tried to attach them to the church in some instances. But Yeah, it's a horror story here in Utah. They are the most vulnerable in society, and they are being abused. And I am a first-hand witness of it, because I have been placed in with them, and am now being treated as if I am one of them. And so, yeah, because I am not one of them, I actually see what's going on firsthand, and it's a horror. If you've ever heard about the asylum in Utah, that's now called the Utah State Hospital, they've just changed the name. They still abuse the mentally disabled, and they cause the illness. All they have to do is say, you're mentally ill, we now force you on drugs, and they alter the behavioral system of the person. Drugs are behavioral control. They don't cure. It's not for curing. They can't cure. They admit, oh, we don't have cures. We don't cure. We treat symptoms. That's behavioral control. But they don't call it that. They call it symptom management. So if you watch the commercials, the Ozapran or Jardiance or whatever they call them, they keep changing them when the people file complaints about, my liver fell out. Oh, okay. If you've taken Jardiance and have lost your liver, call the lawyer firm at blah, 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 and you can receive a cash settlement. And yeah, all they do is they change the name of the drug and they put it back out into the hospitals. So, and yeah, all of this was supposed to be FDA approved. Apparently, it's not very good in the examination of it. If it's still being recalled and people are getting settlement money. So yeah, that's what's being done to those who are labeled as mentally ill. Once they get you in the categorization, then they drug you, and once they drug you, boom, your life is over. You have lower life expectancy because the drugs take away your life from you. You know, like the Princess Bride with that machine. I just taken away a year of your life. Not sure, I can't quote him, but that was a great line. That is the stream of ultimate suffering. I should watch that today. I can't get to it, it's already past noon. But, yeah. So, yeah, the drugs are killing citizens who are supposed to have rights to life, liberty, and property. And the government doesn't care. The government aids and abets these businesses that are destroying society. And I was talking to some other tenants today about this as I'm waiting for the postman, you know, the homeless that we have. It's unconstitutional. They have the right to life. They have the right to liberty. They have the right to property. They're being denied these, aren't they? And nobody cares. Nobody cares to allow the Constitution to take effect by those who are in the office to obey the Constitution for the people. And thus they cause the homelessness. When they don't regulate business, because business, they don't want to pay their employees what will allow them to have a good lifestyle for them and a full family of as many kids as they want. You know, like I said, there is no population crisis. I've done the math. According to the amount of land mass alone, we can fit something like 16 quadrillion people on the earth, which means we've got plenty of room. We only have 7 billion. We've got lots of land mass left. There's no need for a food shortage. There's no need for that. We don't have to irrigate the land. There are other options from flattening out the land. You can do levels. You know, you don't have to have people running the land. You can get it automated. There are other options. But nobody wants to do those other options because they're not cost efficient. They want money. So, yeah. The poor exist because of the corruption of government. It's that simple. And so then you get philosophers who write books and give famous lines of, you can tell the level of society by their those who are in jail or those who are poor. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Dostoevsky, or is that the musician? But it's from Con Air. The guy quotes it in Con Air, the FBI agent to the guard or whoever he was. He was in Deep Space Nine. That's how I remembered him. And then John Cusack is the guy who says the quote. So, but yeah, from Con Air. I should watch that again. Yeah, I love movies. They're great, educational and intellectually inspiring. You know, like Shakespeare in Love. I saw a news thing with Shakespeare in Love, and the thing for the title of whatever the news thing was 10 movies that were not appreciated or something like that. And I'm going, what? You know, that was an Academy Award winner, and for good reason. That was brilliant. That was so inspiring. It was like, man, I was just like blown away. And I wasn't blown away like that until Pride and Prejudice came out with, is it Keira Knightley? I can't remember. I think it's her. But yeah, wow. See, movies don't typically blow me away. They're intense and exciting. Independence Day before Shakespeare in Love. Independence Day was good. I still remember I was up in Canada when it came out to the theaters there, and saw it. I thought that was strange. We were on a family picnic in the Indian rocks or whatever. There are carvings on the rocks, and it's a little place to walk around and enjoy nature. And then all of a sudden, father-in-law says, "Hey, who wants to go to the movies?" What? We're in nature. All right. And yeah, I was sitting there in the theater. Whoa! They just blew up the White House. Awesome! And now that's a gift, or a GIF. Sorry, not a gift. Oh man, and YouTube won't let me do GIFs. You know, they let me put it in as a cover thumbnail, but it won't do the GIF. It only has the scene of the gift, and so that's unfortunate. My website, yeah, they let me do it. And if I try to put it in my Movie Maker won't do it. It's just the scene, and it's for the duration of the length of the GIF, and so that's ruined. However, my converter can take GIFs and convert them into movies, and that works. So I don't dare do a GIF of it for you because YouTube has copyright interpretations. And so yes, I need to do a video explaining copyright. What is and what isn't a copyright violation, because YouTube doesn't know and they don't want to know. Because people come to them and say, hey, if a second of our movie or our song is duplicated by anybody, regardless of fair use, block their video. So yeah, I need to now explain to people what is and what is not a copyright violation. So I don't know if anybody's interested on that here on YouTube. But yeah, I've had to deal with it because as a result, they've shadow banned me. My LDS Mormon Composite 2 video, for example, that was supposed to be huge, earth-shaking for the church. And because they banned it, and eventually it was allowed to be free on my website again, but they shadow ban it now, and it's not made available for other people to see. You have to scroll through my video listing to find it, and I've got so many videos since then that you have to go far down in, or if you know the exact title, you have to type it in. Travis Wayne Goodsell Composite 2 should bring it up, even though that's not the full title. But man, YouTube is really messing things up, because YouTube originally was intended as a social media site. You know, it's still considered a social media site, but companies, businesses, advertising have taken it over and messed it all up for everybody. You know, that's why it's called YouTube. Us, the people, we're supposed to be able to put our personal videos on YouTube so that others can see it, watch our lives as we do journal entries and trips and discussions about things. You know, it wasn't intended for us to be professional video makers. You know, I still see complaints in the comments by some people. Oh, you should have done it this way. There's no. Are you kidding me? I'm not a professional. I'm just a regular person. And so, yeah, when I first got on, I wanted to use it as an educational presentation for my ancient research and stuff that I was wanting to get published. And I didn't know about Amazon with CreateSpace back then. And so I was doing videos to tell people about some of the stuff I knew and wanted to share. So Paleo-Hebrew, Egyptian, philosophy of Mormonism. So yeah, it's hungry and I'm thirsty, grumpy. But yeah, lead poisoning. I now understand why Mormons are so violently angry. It's because you've got lead in your blood. Because that's one of the symptoms of lead poisoning, is that you get violently angry. And that explains a lot. So, and yeah, the lack of intelligence. Lead poisoning makes people dumb. It's a horrifying thing to have happen. And our government's responsible. Our church, the Mormon church, is responsible because they control the government. So, yeah, it explains a lot. People who are dumb are considered mentally ill. People who have behavioral problems are considered mentally ill. And the government, the church, are causing it. It's just unbelievable, the evils that are going on. And it is evil. This isn't ad hominem. This isn't hyperbole. When you purposely poison people, when you purposely murder people over a course of torturous years, because that's what it is. It's torture. It's not a quick and painless death. It's a slow, drawn-out torture of pain, of suffering. And doctors aren't curing. They're only treating symptoms. You know, that's why we have an opioid crisis in the nation, is because doctors are not curing people. Oh, you're in pain? Here's some opioids. You're going to love it. And then you'll get addicted, and then you'll be cut off, and then you'll go to heroin in order to get your fix. And nobody's being held accountable. Trump claims he's helping, but then they don't. Utah claims they're helping, but then they don't. So, you know, when the news, the state news, covers the state catching a big bust, you got to understand, it's like cockroaches. If you see a few, you know there's billions more. Or mice. If you see one mouse, there's a whole family. And you've got an infestation. So if you see one car that gets caught, or one LDS bishop who's a sex predator in a sex trafficking operation, you know there's a lot more. That's just who they caught. So we are in a nightmare crisis. Just because we see a little bit here and there, don't think that that's all there is. It's widespread through society. And that's why people are wanting us to believe that, oh, we should just forgive and forget. We should not judge. We should put ourselves in their place. All those excuses. We'll just agree to disagree. That's because they want to get away with their corruption. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to go to jail. They don't want to be sued. They want to get away with it. They want to be untouched. And so they use religion. They use philosophies to alter sound reasoning with unsound reasoning. And people fall for it. Just like the human song. I don't know the... We're only human, born to make mistakes. You still cheated on me! Get out! I'm only human. You have to take me back. Just forgive me. And I think that's what he says in the song. He starts talking to the woman he cheated on and says, I'm only human. Please forgive me. You know, that's women fall for this when they get beaten by their husbands. Oh, he loves me. He's just going through a rough time right now. I know he loves me. He's struggling. He needs my help. No, leave him. Get away. He's got lead poisoning, most likely. He is uncurable. And then the guy who came up with Stockholm Syndrome. That's what Mormons are victims of. You know, the church is holding them captive, mentally, spiritually captive. And Mormons love them for being their captors. That's Stockholm Syndrome. And so Mormons don't see that they are being held captive, that they are being abused by their captors. And instead, they have fallen in love. They don't see it. So when they read the New Testament, the Gospels about Jesus' love, they don't see Jesus whipping people who are selling at the temple. He whips them. He goes off. They miss Matthew 23, where Jesus verbally attacks the Pharisees and the scribes, blind guides, fools, hypocrites. Hypocrite, 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 hypocrite. He just goes off for the whole chapter, Matthew 23. And people don't see that. Pharisees are the religious leaders. Mormons don't see that. They don't know how to liken the scriptures unto themselves. And so the Book of Mormon, the book that they are supposed to liken unto themselves, they don't see it. Layman, the great and abominable church, King Noah, the Antichrist, the Gadianton robbers, Zoramites, it's Lamanites. It's just all through the book, and Mormons don't make the connection with the church because they are blinded. They don't see it. So it's now 1 o'clock. I'm getting cranky. So I don't know. Maybe I won't get to it today. So what's it going to take, Mormons? I mean, are you seriously refusing to give up the church for truth, for exaltation? Are you seriously sticking with the church? Do I need to put in a title that says, "The church is true, Mormons proven right"? Will that get you Mormons to look at this video? You know, should I put at the beginning, "It's a trap. Stay away." You know, like some shell game, like I've told you guys in other videos and posts, etc. Oh, man. Now we're getting to the early afternoon sleepy time. All right. I really wanted to get to the videos. So the mailman ruined it for today. So, and I can't blame him because he's new. So it's going to take him a few weeks to finally figure out the system and be quicker. All right, well, we're at an hour almost, so. All right. Okay. So maybe I will watch either The Princess Bride or Con Air. I could watch Stargate again, my favorite movie. I could watch Fahrenheit 451. That's awesome. I could watch 1984. You know, all classics. Or Willow. Oh, love Willow. But Richie Cunningham messed up. You know, the baby was the prophecy to save the people and restore the kingdom. And no, it wasn't the baby. It was Willow. Who was able to do magic. Who did his famous pig disappearing trick on the baby and fooled Beth Morda. Where's the baby? Where's the baby? Oh, bring it back! And then Willow doesn't even kill her. I think it's Sorsha. Redhead. Yeah. You have to watch my other videos to understand what I'm talking about. You can't isolate this. And so, you can go to the one with the thumbnail of Charlie Brown and the little redheaded girl. I think I explained it in there. That's why I put the thumbnail of that. Either that or it was the previous video. And I'm referring to it in that one. But anyway. Yeah, my first wife thought I loved blondes. And so she prophesied that as she was leaving the marriage, that I would run off and marry a 17-year-old blonde. First of all, it's illegal. I would go to jail and be put on a sex offender registry, which is part of what my Salt Lake City jail video I'm wanting to do also would talk about. Yeah, for some reason she got in her head that I like blondes, and whatever I said, no, I like redheads, she wouldn't believe me. It's just unbelievable. Whatever I said was not believed because she was right. She knew the truth about me. Huh? And if I didn't comply and say, yes, dear, you're right, I'm a horrible person, she was leaving. So, it's a good thing that I experienced Beth as a kindergartner, because otherwise I would have such hatred towards women right now because of my first ex. Man. So, again, you gotta watch the videos. So, alrighty. I should stop and go get something to eat. But yeah, these are my journal entries. And it's a different formatting than how I type it. You know, I don't type them anymore. I do these. So these are my keepsakes, my memoirs. And it's unfortunate that nobody's interested in my life. Because when I was lost in the mountains, that video, yeah, you missed that video, didn't you? And the tale of two brothers, nobody cares. I'm a black belt as a less than 1-year-old baby. I'm a black belt, man. Take that, Putin. Thinks he's a judo master. Pfft. I'm a black belt in karate. Alrighty, enough of me today. I didn't see any comments this morning, so I don't know if any more comments are coming. Maybe I've banned all of the people that are commenting. And Jennifer and MD and others who comment on on a regular basis, have too many videos to catch up on. But hello to all of you. Alrighty, we're at 1 hour now.